We've timed it well tonight. The fog has thinned just enough to let the lamps show their glow without hiding everything else in mist. You'll see it now as we roll out from Covent Garden. The cobbles still wet from earlier rain, glistening like old glass. And there, just there to your left, the edge of the market hall. The ironwork arches, tall and proud, hold up a canopy that's home by day to flower sellers and apple stalls. At this hour, only a few linger. A porter with a crate, a girl drawing her shawl tighter as she crosses under the light. But still, the scent of crushed herbs and soil clings to the air. You can almost smell the violets, can't you? It's quieter now, but Covent Garden never truly sleeps. There's always a hum, soft voices, the tail end of a piano note drifting from a pub window, the creak of a shutter somewhere above us. We pass the Royal Opera House now on our right, grand and pale, like a temple to sound itself. They've just let out a performance, I'd wager. You can see the last of the carriages drawing away, wheels slick against the stones. Imagine the swell of violins that rang within just an hour ago. Tonight, perhaps it was Gounod or Don Giovanni. Something beautiful anyway. We'll turn here, yes, gently, and head toward Long Acre. It narrows some, but the buildings lean in like they're listening. Gaslight pools along the windowsills, casting long amber reflections on the road. That's the thing about London at night. It's quieter, softer, but never still. Always watching, always murmuring just out of earshot. Look to your right. See that corner shop with the pale blue door? That's a tobacconist, run by a widower named Mr. Slade. He's lived in London his whole life, though you wouldn't know it. Man speaks like he was raised in Kent. He's usually trimming cigars about now, or reading the Times by lamplight. Further up, we cross St. Martin's Lane. You'll notice the theatre signs even at this hour, painted boards and glass marquees catching what light they can. The Garrick is just down that side street, small but always busy. I saw a farce there once that had the whole audience in fits. A man with a feathered hat and 3 wigs stacked on top of each other. Silly thing, but sometimes that's just the tonic a city needs. We're headed west now, approaching Charing Cross Road. The traffic grows a little here. Other cabs, heavy carts, the occasional hansom like ours. Most carry late diners home or ferry theatre patrons to supper at Simpson's. You'll know it by the smell of roast beef drifting from the open doors. That's London for you, perfume and meat pies in the same breath. To our left, tucked behind those buildings, is St. Martin in the Fields. You can just make out the top of the spire, sharp against the sky. It's a fine church. Classical lines, well balanced. They host concerts by candlelight, you know. Though not tonight. Still, sometimes I think I can feel the echo of it even as we pass. Ah, now the street widens and the view opens. Look ahead. Do you see it? That's Trafalgar Square. You can just make out the lion statues, sitting proud and still around Nelson's column. Funny thing, I've lived in this city all my life, and they still make me pause. Like they're guarding something ancient, and perhaps they are. We'll circle the edge, just slow enough to take it in. There to the north, that great grey building with the columns, that's the National Gallery. Masterpieces sleep behind those walls, brushstrokes from centuries past resting in the dark. Turner, Constable, Van Dyck. A hush seems to gather there, even from the outside. And in the center, there he stands, Admiral Nelson, frozen in stone high above the city, watching the fog roll in from the river like it's some phantom fleet. He's been up there since '43. Did you know? 47 meters tall. People say he keeps London safe, in a way. Not from danger, perhaps, but from forgetting. We'll turn gently along the southern edge now. You can glimpse the base of Whitehall rising in the distance. But for now, let's linger here a moment longer. You see that fountain? Yes, just there, still running even at this hour. The water catches the light like quicksilver, spilling over stone into the basin below. Children splash in it during the day, but now it's quiet, like a mirror. I sometimes wonder what stories it's heard. To our right, a newsboy sleeps on the steps of St. Martin's, wrapped in his own arms like a cat. Even in rest, his hands are stained with ink. The city writes itself into all of us, doesn't it? We carry on, the cab wheels turning smooth over the worn stones. You might notice how the lamps here burn brighter than elsewhere. That's intentional. They keep this square well lit, some say for the tourists, others say to keep the shadows from gathering too thick. But I think it's because the city is proud of this place. It stands as a kind of heart, beating quiet and slow beneath the fog. You can just make out the edge of Northumberland Avenue to our right. Down that way lies the river, though we'll not take it tonight. The Thames will have its own turn later. For now, we hold this course, westward, toward the seat of power. But not just yet. I often think of how many feet have crossed this square. How many boots, slippers, hooves, and wheels. It's worn smooth by history. There's a rhythm in it. You can feel it if you listen long enough. Not loud, not proud, just steady. Like breath. Like the soft clatter of this cab as it rolls forward, lanterns swinging just so. Yes, that's a constable on the corner there, tipping his helmet as we pass. You see them often enough near the square, stationed to keep the peace, though it's rarely needed here at this hour. Everyone is either dreaming or home, and the square dreams with them. There's a gent with a sketchbook under the gallery arch. Can you see him? Doesn't mind the cold, that one. I've seen him here before, drawing statues under gaslight. He says the dark shows the truth better than daylight ever could. Maybe he's right. Things soften at night. They let you in. And now, as we turn down toward Whitehall, let the square fade behind us like a half-remembered thought. The wheels roll on. The lamps flicker. The night deepens, but it welcomes us. We're only just beginning. And so we leave the square behind us now, though a part of it lingers. You'll notice how the streets here stretch a little wider, more orderly, as if the city is straightening its back. We're on Whitehall now, a name heavy with history, and rightly so. These stones have heard the voices of kings and the whispers of revolution. But tonight, they hear only us. The cab moves steadily, the rhythm of hooves like a gentle metronome beneath the silence. On either side, the buildings rise in solemn grandeur. Portland stone and brick, their windows shuttered for the night. You see those columns to the left? That's the entrance to the banqueting house. Charles I walked through those doors once and out onto the scaffold that awaited him. They say the executioner's axe fell with such silence, the crowd barely breathed. Strange how history clings to places like that. You can feel it if you sit still enough. We pass the cenotaph now, though it wasn't here in our year, not quite yet. But the ground knows, and in time, stone will rise again to mark what men cannot forget. Just ahead, there's a pair of gates. Do you see them? Black iron, sharply wrought. That's the entrance to Downing Street. A short, narrow lane, really. Easy to miss if you don't know it's there. But behind those walls, decisions are made that ripple across the empire. The gas lamps burn a little brighter here, and the presence of the constables is more than ceremonial. Still, it's quiet tonight. Just the faint click of boot heels in the distance. Further along, you'll see the Horse Guards parade. Look there, through the archway, the great courtyard beyond, vast and pale in the moonlight. No mounted sentries at this hour, but you can almost hear the soft jingle of tack and the breath of the horses when they stand their post. That arch, by the way, is called the Horse Guards Arch. It's older than it looks. Stone smoothened by passing rains and polished boots. Whitehall draws us forward like a ribbon. See how the spire of Big Ben rises just ahead? It appears slowly, step by step, until suddenly it's there, tall and certain against the soft black sky. The clock face glows faintly, not too harsh, just enough to remind the city of time's slow march. And beneath it, the Houses of Parliament stretch out like a ship run aground, Gothic spires, turrets, iron railings. A labyrinth of voices and shadows. To your left, the River Thames moves unseen, but always present. The embankment wall blocks it from view, yet the air carries its scent. That mingling of silt and fog, old water and stone. The kind of scent that doesn't change with the years. It's as much a part of London as breath. Let's turn slightly now toward Parliament Square. The road curves gently, and the buildings seem to step back, giving the space a kind of reverence. There, on your right, is Westminster Abbey. Look how the lantern light flickers across its towers, catching in the carved angels and saints that line its face. Over 1,000 years of worship rest within those walls. Every monarch crowned there. So many buried beneath its stones that they say the dead outnumber the living tenfold. We draw nearer now, and I always slow the cab just a little here. It feels right. Even the hooves sound softer. You can almost sense the weight of ceremony hanging in the air. The last whispers of an organ, perhaps. or the rustle of a bishop's robe. It's never loud, this place, but it speaks. Across the square stands St. Margaret's Church, smaller, humbler, but no less noble. It's been called the parish church of the House of Commons. I once sat in a wedding there, years ago. The bells echoed so sweetly through the square, I thought they'd never stop. It was a fine thing. The cab swings slowly now around the curve of the square. Take a glance toward the iron gates of the Palace of Westminster. They're shut fast, of course, but even at night, guards stand watch. You see them there, still and quiet in their dark coats, watching, always watching. And behind them, the long line of windows stretches out, some still lit. There's always one soul burning the midnight oil in that place. Big Ben tolls the hour softly overhead. Only once. One single chime. Enough to mark the passing of time without disturbing the hush. There's something about hearing the bell this close, like it rings through the chest as much as the ears. Measured, ancient, kind. We drift past the statue of Richard the Lionheart, his sword raised high even now, though the wars are long done. They say he never ruled from here, not truly, but the image remains. A king on horseback, forever charging through the fog. Ahead now, the road slopes slightly downward. The trees of Victoria Tower Gardens line the edge of the embankment to our left. Their branches are bare this time of year, silhouettes against the sky. And just beyond, if the fog lifts just so, you might glimpse the faint outline of the river. The lamps along the embankment cast a golden shimmer on the water's skin, like fireflies dancing on ink. But we'll not go that way tonight. Instead, we continue along the curve, looping gently round toward the edge of St. James's Park. The park itself lies just ahead, though we'll not cross through it, not with a cab like this. Still, you'll feel its presence. The hush grows deeper, the air softens. Even the horses step lighter here, as though they too sense the sacred quiet. We pass the side of Westminster School now, its old cloisters hidden behind brick walls and high railings. Many a future statesman began his days there, running late to lessons or carving initials into wood. It's strange, isn't it? How these places of power are so often rooted in childhood. Just ahead you'll see the corner where Birdcage Walk begins. A fine road, lined with tall lamps and old trees. It runs straight along the edge of the park, parallel to the palace walls beyond. We'll take that route next and let it lead us gently toward royalty. But not just yet. Let us linger a moment more near the Abbey, where the cab moves like a thought in prayer. The light here seems quieter, more deliberate, as though it chooses carefully where to fall. I've always loved this stretch of the journey. The grandeur of the buildings, yes, but more than that. The feeling that time folds in on itself here. That if you were to step out now into the gaslight, you might meet a figure from 100 years ago and nod as if it were nothing. And so we go on. The wheels turn. The hooves sound their steady rhythm. The fog thickens just a little, blurring the edges of things, making the world soft and slow. But the way is clear enough. The road ahead calls gently. We're drifting now into the gentler edges of the city, where the pace softens and the buildings give way to trees. The streets here feel less burdened by the weight of law and parliament. They exhale a little. Birdcage Walk lies just ahead, and we'll follow it like a path through whispered gardens. The cab eases onto the road, and the lamps here seem spaced a touch wider, casting long shadows between their pools of light. On one side lies the park, St. James's Park, quiet as a held breath. Though you can't see much through the iron railings at night, the presence of trees is enough. Their tall, silent shapes stand like sentinels in the mist, the tips of their branches catching the glow now and then. They say this was once Henry VIII's hunting ground, long before the paths were laid or the lake was shaped. Now it's a place for lovers in the daylight, for readers and children and men with nowhere in particular to be. But at night it belongs to the birds and the wind and the silent watchers who stroll its gravel paths unseen. There's a kind of hush that settles here, different from Westminster's reverence. This hush is older, almost natural. As we carry on, look to your right. There, behind the tall hedges, the rear facades of government buildings stand tucked away. Nothing ostentatious, just shadows of power hidden in plain sight. But we pay them no mind tonight. Tonight is for softer things. The road curves gently. You'll feel it in the way the cab leans, slow and steady. The horse knows this turn well. There's no rush. He's taken it 100 times, maybe more, and always with that same steady rhythm of hooves brushing the stones like a lullaby. Ahead now, the spires fall away and the space opens. The trees retreat slightly, and for a moment, the sky above feels wider, even under the night. The walls to the left drop lower, and beyond them, the lake. You won't see it clearly, not now, but you might catch the glint of moonlight if the fog shifts just right. That still water, resting beneath the willows and the stone bridge, is older than it seems. Swans nest there in spring. But now, the banks are empty save for the occasional watchman pacing beneath a lantern. We come now to the edge of the park proper, and the great open space before the palace begins to unfold. It's not sudden, but gradual, like a curtain being drawn back one pleat at a time. You'll first notice the road widening. Then the railings change, their tops sharpened and lined in gold. And finally, just beyond the trees, a pale sweep of stone begins to rise. Buckingham Palace. It doesn't shout its presence, not at this hour. But it stands there all the same, vast and silent, like a sleeping giant. The gaslights flicker along its gates, and the ornate lamps atop the pillars cast soft halos onto the road. No fanfare, no guards on show, just stillness. A palace at rest. I always slow the cab here, not for traffic. There's none at this hour, but out of respect. There's something solemn about it at night. The windows are mostly dark, though now and then you'll see one dimly lit near the east wing. Servants, perhaps, or a secretary finishing a letter by candlelight. And there, just ahead, is the Victoria Memorial, though it's not quite finished in our year. The foundation's been laid. The space waits for its marble guardian. For now, the centre of the circle remains open, expectant. The roads swirl around it, like dancers in pause, waiting for the music to begin. We'll follow the arc gently now, turning along Constitution Hill. It runs beside Green Park, a quieter, more private space. No statues, no great fountains, just grass and trees and silence. There's something noble about it, understated. You'll find no carriages here in daylight, only walkers, gentlemen with newspapers tucked beneath their arms, and women with parasols tilted just so. But at night, it's the wind's own. Do you see that line of lamps ahead? That's where we're headed. Each flame floats in its own glass globe, tethered by nothing but iron and air. They guide us now like stars across the city's firmament. To the right, you'll catch glimpses of Wellington Arch if you lean forward just a touch. It stands at Hyde Park Corner, a gate without a wall, facing no enemy but time. The Duke's statue won't arrive for some years yet, but the arch waits all the same. A promise of victories past and future. We won't turn that way tonight. Our route keeps to gentler ground. Instead, the cab draws us east again, back toward the heart of London. The houses here are stately, their facades even and well kept. Mayfair begins just beyond, though we're not quite there yet. For now, let's hold this quiet. It's often overlooked, this stretch between the palace and the theatres. Not quite regal, not yet raucous, but it has a charm all its own. Listen. No, not for sound, but for space. There's room here, room to breathe, to drift, to let the city fall away. We pass a solitary figure in a top hat now, walking at a thoughtful pace. He glances at the cab, then returns to his reverie. I've always liked that about Londoners. They don't startle easily. They carry their thoughts like cloaks, drawn tight and private. The horse slows of its own accord now, as if sensing the end of the stretch. His breath steams in the air, rhythmic and slow. We're nearly at the edge of Piccadilly, where the streets begin to swell again with signs and windows and the shimmer of life. But that's for the next stretch. For now, let us pause at this quiet junction between royalty and revelry, between park and palace. You may feel the city breathing here if you're still enough. A low, steady rhythm. Not the thrum of commerce or the rattle of railways, but something deeper. The city's soul, perhaps. We'll press on soon, but let this moment rest. Let the wheels be still just for now. Let the hooves quiet. We'll move along now, slipping from the hush of Green Park toward the brighter stretch ahead. The cab turns smoothly, and you might notice how the air shifts, still cool, still gentle, but touched now with the faintest trace of perfume. Somewhere nearby, a woman has passed recently, perhaps coming from a ball or returning home with her gloves, still tucked into a satin bag. To our left, the shadows of Green Park linger a little longer, trees bowing low and iron railings separating them from the world. The park is dark now, save for a flickering lamp or two catching the bark of a tall chestnut. There's no sound from within, no movement, but it breathes all the same. A companion to the city, silent and steady. The road draws us eastward, and now you'll see the first hints of Piccadilly ahead. Wider streets, taller shop fronts, windows lit with a different sort of glow. This is where the city begins to show its polish, where silk and silver shine behind glass, and every storefront seems to whisper, "Look at me." On your right now is the entrance to the Ritz, not yet so grand in our time as it will become, but still a place of note. The canopy over the door holds a single lantern, swaying slightly as we pass. A footman stands beneath it, hands clasped, eyes alert. He doesn't nod. He doesn't need to. We press on. Piccadilly spreads out like a ribbon of light before us. You'll notice how the buildings change here, less severe than Whitehall, less ancient than Westminster. These facades are dressed for society. Stucco and limestone, fine cornices, balconies with ironwork curling like lace. Behind those windows lie drawing rooms filled with oil paintings, parlors where champagne glasses catch the light. And here, just ahead, is Hatchard's, the bookseller. Its windows are dark now, but the shelves behind them are full. Poetry, plays, novels, the latest serialized chapters from Mr. Dickens and Mr. Trollope. It's a place I like to visit when time allows. There's comfort in the hush of pages, don't you think? To your left now, the path to Burlington Arcade. Gated at this hour, of course, but still visible if you glance through the bars. A covered walkway lined with the finest shops, gloves, watches, handkerchiefs embroidered with silver thread. During the day, it bustles softly, never rushed. At night it sleeps, but even its sleep feels expensive. As we continue, the road bends slightly. You'll see St. James's Church coming into view now, its modest tower rising quietly beside the shops. Built by Sir Christopher Wren, though it doesn't shout about it. I attended a carol service there once, many years ago. The echo of those voices still rests in the rafters, I'd wager. Now look just ahead. Piccadilly Circus is approaching. It's not yet the dizzying blur of advertisements it may one day become. For now, it's a circle of movement, a crossing of roads and people. The lamps here are brighter, the cabs more frequent. Even at night, there's a sense of motion, of possibility. We won't linger here. Instead, we slip to the side, turning into the quieter elegance of Mayfair. Ah yes, you'll feel it right away. The cobbles shift subtly, the light changes, the air thickens, not unpleasantly, but with a richness. Mayfair wears its wealth like a well-cut coat, tailored, precise, unspoken. The townhouses here stand in perfect rows, each one polished to a shine, each window carefully dressed. Gas lamps burn a touch steadier here, as if aware of their company. To your left, just beyond that gate, lies Berkeley Square. You won't see much of it in the dark, but you'll know it by the hush. Trees older than memory rise there, their roots deep beneath the earth. They say the nightingales used to sing here. I've never heard them myself, but some swear they still do, just once in a great while. We drift past gentlemen's clubs now, Boodles, Whites, Brookses, each one a world unto itself. Behind those closed doors, cigars glow, port decants, and politics are quietly dissected. No laughter spills out, not here. Everything is contained, considered, cloaked in velvet and oak. The cab rolls on. We turn down a narrower street now, Curzon Street. You'll see how the homes grow taller again, their facades lined with pilasters and grand entryways. Many of these belong to diplomats or minor royalty. Most are quiet tonight, though a lamp glows in a third-story window, the shape of a figure briefly passing behind the curtains. Look to the right. There's Shepherd Market tucked just between the buildings. A small square hidden from the grand avenues. By day it bustles with flower sellers and butchers. By night it softens. A lamplighter's trail lingers on the stones, and the wooden signs above the shops creak faintly in the breeze. There's something comforting about it, domestic, familiar, like London's kitchen door. We ease back into Grosvenor Square now, larger, more formal. The houses here stand like sentinels, proud and immovable. If you listen, you can almost hear the shuffle of livery and the murmur of a butler announcing arrivals. These buildings hold secrets. Marriages arranged, fortunes made, reputations guarded. But we won't stay long. The cab turns again, this time onto South Audley Street, and the city narrows once more. The walls draw in, the lamps glow closer. We pass the edge of Mount Street Gardens, closed at this hour but perfumed faintly by rose and laurel. The horse slows now, sensing a pause ahead. The end of this stretch. And you'll notice it too, the rhythm settling, the wheels quieter on the smoother stones. We've moved through grandeur, through silk and supper and whispered negotiations. And now we rest. Let the cab be still for a moment. Look back at where we've come from, Buckingham Palace and the shaded hush of Green Park. And ahead, the edge of Oxford Street, where the city changes once more. But for now, let's remain in Mayfair a little longer. Let the night settle round us like a shawl. The lamps still burn, the hooves still echo. We begin to drift now from the refinement of Mayfair into something altogether more restless. You'll feel the shift before you see it. The cobbles feel looser under the wheels, the air a little quicker, touched by the scent of coal smoke and something sweet. Maybe roasted chestnuts from a streetcart tucked just out of sight. Oxford Street lies ahead, brighter than the roads we've left behind. At this hour it doesn't sleep. It murmurs, turns over in its sheets, and dreams in colour. The cab moves cautiously now, as if aware that the rhythm of the street is no longer ours to command. To your left and right, the shop fronts begin. Tall windows filled with bolts of fabric, cut glass decanters, parasols, toys, gloves, shawls, boots in polished leather. Most are shuttered now, though some flicker faintly with a gas lamp left burning behind velvet curtains. a signal that business never fully stops. The signs above the awnings are hand-painted and gold-leafed. Fenwick's, Debenham and Freebody, Marshall and Snellgrove. Fine establishments all. During the day they hum with trade and chatter, but now they glow softly in the dark, like grand theatres between acts. We rattle past a bakery, and the scent is unmistakable. Fresh bread, even at this hour, perhaps for the morning deliveries. One can imagine the baker wiping flour from his brow, unaware of the moonlight catching his window. Oxford Street is wide here, wider than most of London's arteries. The lamps are set further apart, and the sky feels taller above us. But don't let that fool you. It may seem grand, but Oxford Street has a pulse. Even now. Especially now. We turn slightly, angling toward the north side where the crowd's thin. A single cab passes us going the other way, its lantern swinging with each bump, a solitary passenger inside silhouetted against the glass. And now the noise shifts. Not louder exactly, but more curious. As we leave the commerce behind, a new energy arrives. The boundary is invisible, but you'll feel it all the same. The street narrows, the lights warm. We are entering Soho. Ah, Soho. She never pretends to be something she's not. Her charm lies in contradiction. Fine musicians and penniless poets, painted ladies and wandering preachers, tailors and gamblers and playwrights, all sharing the same stone-paved streets. Look there, to your left, Greek Street. A row of shuttered cafes and foreign print shops, closed for now but full of colour by day. Some of these places serve dishes you won't find anywhere else in London. Spiced meats, sugared pastries, strong coffee in little chipped cups. It smells different here, don't you think? Spices and wine and something faintly smoky, like pipe tobacco and roasted almonds. The cab curves onto Old Compton Street, careful not to jostle too hard. The lanes here are close and crooked, cobbles older and more uneven. But the lamps burn brighter. You'll notice them mounted higher, closer together, almost defiant in their glow. There are no palaces here, just stories, thousands of them, piled one on top of another like laundry in a boarding house. We pass the window of a tailor's shop, still lit, surprisingly. A man leans over his workbench, glasses perched on the end of his nose, needle glinting between two fingers. He doesn't look up as we pass. Perhaps he's working on a costume for one of the theatres. Speaking of which, look ahead. That low building with the red brick and wide awning. That's the Prince Edward Theatre. The lights are out now, but the posters remain. Bold illustrations promising laughter, romance, spectacle. This is where the city comes to forget itself for a while. To laugh too loud, to gasp too freely, to believe in magic again. You may hear voices as we pass. Soft laughter, a song hummed behind a curtain. Soho's never silent, not entirely. She likes to talk in her sleep. Now let the cab slow a little. We're passing Frith Street now, and if you lean just slightly, you'll see the windows of a narrow boarding house where Mozart himself once stayed as a child. Imagine it, those fingers already nimble, already conjuring beauty from ivory keys, while outside the city ground its way forward, loud and unbothered. There's something about Soho that invites memory, as if the bricks themselves remember. The smell of gin and hot soup, the crack of billiard balls in a back room, the scratch of a pen across cheap paper as someone, somewhere, tries to write the next great play. To your right, a woman in a dark coat crosses the road slowly, heels clicking. She carries a small box and disappears into a doorway without a glance. Was she returning home or heading out? We take a sharp turn now, heading down a narrower lane where the houses press close together. You'll notice how the windows here are mostly dark, but now and then a curtain twitches or a shadow moves behind a pane. The city watches, always. We're nearing Dean Street now. This road once held the haunts of radicals and dreamers, men with wild eyes and pamphlets in their coats. It still has a feel to it, that little whisper of rebellion in the mortar. We pass a small club, anonymous from the outside but known to some. A private place, velvet draped, where actors drink after curtain call and discuss the metaphysics of tragedy over brandy. It's closed now, or nearly. A doorman leans against the wall, smoking without hurry. The horse knows to slow here. The turns are tight. The street narrows again, then opens suddenly into Soho Square. You'll see the garden railings there, enclosing a little patch of green that somehow survives amid the brick. Even at night it feels like a secret kept just for those who know where to look. We pause just briefly here. There's something peaceful about this spot. The square feels older than its surroundings, as if it remembers when cows grazed nearby and carriages were few. Now, onward again. We drift southward toward the edge of the Strand, but we're not ready to rejoin the wider city just yet. One last turn through Romilly Street, where gaslight spills from the windows of a public house. You'll see silhouettes in the frosted glass, hands lifting tankards, a bowler hat left on a bench. We pass by unnoticed, and then out again into the open. The edge of Soho behind us, the broader streets of Covent Garden returning to view. You may recognize some of the buildings now, shadows of places we passed earlier. The city begins to fold in on itself, its districts brushing shoulders like old acquaintances. Let us slow the pace here. Let the noise fade behind us, the echo of laughter and footsteps retreating like a tide. Soho is never gone. It merely waits. But we've passed through its dream now, and we carry it with us. The wheels roll on, the hooves fall soft. We slip away now from the lively glow of Soho, turning northward into quieter lanes where the city seems to exhale. The roads here narrow once more, though not from crowding. They simply draw closer, more intimate, more thoughtful. We are entering Bloomsbury. The cab moves gently over smoother stones, the rhythm steady, unhurried. The night here feels different, less theatrical, more reflective, as though the buildings themselves are deep in thought. And perhaps they are. For this is a neighborhood of books and minds, of quiet windows filled with candlelight and muslin curtains, of scholars and poets and pale hands clutching letters in the dark. The first square we pass is Soho's cousin, smaller, more composed. A little park at its centre, iron railings trimmed with ivy, a few benches barely visible in the gloom. You might notice how the houses here stand a little taller, a little straighter. Their facades are less adorned, but their confidence lies in subtlety. These are not the homes of spectacle, but of study. Behind these doors are rooms stacked with dusty volumes and maps of ancient places. We cross over into Bedford Square now, one of Bloomsbury's most elegant corners. The cab rolls quietly around its edge. Trees rise in the centre, bare-limbed against the sky, and the row houses form a perfect Georgian crescent. Brown brick, tall windows, neat fanlights over polished doors. Many of these are homes still, some are embassies, and a few are the private studies of aging professors whose names grace the spines of forgotten encyclopedias. A light flickers in an upper window, and you might glimpse the outline of a man bent over a desk, sleeves rolled, a globe beside him, notes scattered like fallen leaves. He may not even know the hour. Further on, the cab passes a modest building with a blue plaque by the door. You'll see them often in Bloomsbury, markers of history's quieter giants. Here lived a novelist, there a scientist, and just ahead a woman who once taught languages to orphans from the workhouse, her reputation long outlasting her name. We approach Gower Street now. The architecture here is more serious, brick upon brick, long and plain, but the effect is steadying. These houses were built to last. They have seen generations rise and pass. They have heard arguments in drawing rooms and lullabies in nurseries. They remember. To your right, a narrow alley opens between two buildings. It leads to an interior courtyard where, by day, laundry lines stretch from sill to sill and cats curl on stone steps. At night, it is empty, save for the soft creak of a shutter left loose and the memory of conversations long since ended. Now we turn toward the museum. Ah, there it is. The British Museum. You see it now ahead of us, don't you? Even in darkness, it dominates the square, massive and solemn, its columns rising like stone trees, the pediment above them carved with the silence of civilizations. At this hour, the iron gates are closed, the forecourt empty, the lamplight catching only the smooth surface of statues. But the building breathes nonetheless. Behind those walls sleep the treasures of time, scrolls and scarabs, mosaics and mummies, Greek gods and Babylonian beasts. Entire empires rest in cabinets here, catalogued and labelled, their stories waiting for curious fingers and wandering eyes. We roll slowly past, the cab keeping its distance as though aware of the reverence due. You'll notice how even the air changes here. Cooler somehow, a little denser. It's the weight of memory, perhaps. Some say the museum is haunted, but I don't believe it. Not in the usual sense. It is simply full of voices, not ghosts, but echoes. And they do not frighten. They teach. We move on now, the square behind us, turning into Great Russell Street. This road has seen many comings and goings, carriages from country estates arriving for the season, trunks hauled upstairs by weary porters, women in borrowed lace stepping out with hearts full of hope. To your left, an old bookshop. The window's dark now, but if you press your face to the glass, you'd see stacks upon stacks, some teetering, some tied in ribbon, some open on passages underlined in pencil. A single oil lamp once burned in the back, where the owner would sit reading late into the night, sipping tea gone cold. He passed last spring. The shop remains waiting. We turn gently again into Montague Place. The buildings here are a touch newer, less uniform. Lodging houses some, small institutes others. But still the feel of the area holds, a kind of quiet knowing. A city within a city, content with its own thoughts. We pass a woman walking alone, her coat drawn tight, her steps even. She doesn't startle at the sound of hooves. Instead, she glances toward us with mild curiosity, and then vanishes into a side street. Perhaps returning from the reading room, perhaps from nowhere in particular. The cab begins to climb a gentle slope, and the museum slips behind us, its presence still lingering. We cross Woburn Place now, entering the north side of Bloomsbury. This is a sleepier section, wider pavements, more trees, fewer lamps. The fog curls a little thicker here, catching in the crooks of branches and along the stone edges of garden walls. We pass the edge of Tavistock Square. You can't see much, only the vague outline of shrubs and the suggestion of a bench beneath a tree. But in daylight, it's a haven. Writers on the grass, old men feeding birds, nurses from the hospital around the corner resting between rounds. Even now it feels like a pause. We move onward. The houses here are quieter still. Many now converted to rooms for students or visiting scholars. You may see a dim light through a half-curtained window, a pair of feet propped on a desk, a candle flickering above an open atlas. The search for understanding continues well past midnight in Bloomsbury. We draw close now to Russell Square. Larger, more formal than the others. The cab curves around it slowly, and though the gardens within are dark, the space still holds shape. A fountain lies somewhere at its heart, but you'll not hear it tonight. Only the soft roll of wheels, the rhythmic clatter of hooves, the deepening quiet. This is the end of the Bloomsbury stretch. The museum rests behind us, the academic squares nestled in their orderly lines, and the night rolls on. Ahead lies Clerkenwell and the market quarters. A different kind of hush waits there. But for now, let us linger in thought. Let the cab roll gently. Let the air drift cool through the window. Let the mind wander, like so many others have here, through books and letters, through secrets and syllables, through centuries of wondering. And the hooves continue. We turn now from the scholarly hush of Bloomsbury towards something older. Not grander, no, but deeper. The kind of old that lives in worn stone, in narrow lanes, in the bones of the city itself. We are entering Clerkenwell. The cab begins to hum a different tune beneath us. The cobbles here are older, rougher. They speak with each turn of the wheels, every jolt and sway. Not unkindly, just honestly. This part of London has never bothered with pretense. It remembers what it was and carries it quietly in its seams. To your right now, a slope falls away behind a wrought iron fence. That's Clerkenwell Green, though at this hour there's little green to be seen. Only the soft gleam of frost on earth and the ghostly outline of benches, empty and still. But in daylight it teems. Costermongers, shoeblacks, tradesmen arguing with their caps pushed back on their heads. The place is never quiet in the sun, but now it whispers. You'll notice how the streets begin to twist and dip. This part of the city was never planned. It grew like ivy, winding where it pleased. We follow Farringdon Lane now, the cab creaking gently as it leans into the bend. You may catch a glimpse of St. James's Church if you look back, its spire rising into the fog, pale and noble. Clerkenwell is a place of layers. Beneath our wheels lie the traces of monastic gardens, the channels of hidden rivers, the ruins of priories long since fallen to brick and soot. In some of the old cellars, they say, the wells still run, cold and clear, untouched by time. We pass a print shop now, darkened, but still smelling faintly of ink and paper. Earlier this evening, a man in shirt sleeves would have been setting type there, his fingers blackened, his mind racing ahead of the machine. Most of the revolutionaries passed through Clerkenwell at one point or another. It's a city within a city for the restless, the sharp-minded, the impatient. To your left, the alley narrows, Brewer's Yard. It opens into a courtyard lined with worn stone steps. In one of the upper rooms there, I once knew a woman who translated Greek texts by lamplight. Her windows glowed all night, and her cat would watch the street from the sill like a little god. We ease now into Turnmill Street, so called for the old mills that once churned along the Lost River Fleet. You won't see the water now, it's buried beneath brick and soot. But it's there, still running, still singing its old song beneath the ground. Clerkenwell never forgets its rivers. The street here is close. Tall buildings lean in above us, and the lamps burn lower. Some are shuttered, some not. A tailor's shop still flickers with light. A pale figure bent over a coat, needle flashing in rhythmic flicks, as though stitching time itself. We pass a small tavern. The windows are misted, but a glow seeps through. You'll see the silhouettes of two men at a table, heads bowed in some quiet negotiation. There's no laughter here, just murmur and pipe smoke, and the slow turning of thoughts in low voices. And now we come upon a wider road, one that feels more certain beneath the wheels. This is Charterhouse Street, and it leads us onward to something truly ancient. Smithfield. Even saying it, you feel the shift. This place has seen it all. It's held fairs and floggings, martyrs and meat markets. Kings have passed here, so have executioners, and now so do we. You'll see the great iron ribs of the market ahead, arches stretching overhead, cast in shadow and lamplight. The stalls are closed, the shutters pulled, but the scent lingers. Salt and spice and straw and blood. This is no dainty place. It is raw and true and vital. In the morning it will roar to life, but now it sleeps with one eye open. Let the cab move slowly here. The hooves echo a little louder beneath the arches. The sound bounces upward into the hollow space, then back down again, like a prayer muttered twice. The market roof looms high, dotted with glass panels stained by time. At night, it feels like walking through the belly of something vast and slumbering. We pass a butcher's store, the sign carved in wood, faded but proud. A carcass hook still hangs by the window, empty now, but waiting. Behind the door, a man might be sharpening his blade by candlelight. Not out of fear, just habit. To your left, there's a small chapel tucked between the market buildings. St. Bartholomew's. You can see the archway through the gloom. It's one of the oldest churches in London, founded in the 1100s. Still holding its ground, still ringing its bell. Inside, the stones are cool and worn smooth by centuries of knees and tears. I've seen a wedding there, and a burial, sometimes both in the same week. The cab rolls gently onward. There's a sudden hush here, different from Bloomsbury's Reflection, or Mayfair's hush of money. This is the hush of endurance, the silence of a place that has known fire and plague and sword, and survived. We pass beneath another arch, its iron beams catching the faintest light from the street lamp at the corner. A soft breeze brushes through the market's spine, and for a moment you can hear nothing but hooves and breath. The horse slows, not out of weariness, but respect. We emerge onto West Smithfield now, the open square at the heart of it all. To your right is the hospital, St. Bartholomew's, nearly as old as the chapel beside it. Inside, a lamp still burns in an upper window, a nurse perhaps, or a clerk finishing a report. It's a place of pain, yes, but also healing. In its own quiet way, it balances the weight of the market. To your left, the remnants of an older gate, stone, crumbling, half swallowed by brick. Once it marked the boundary of the fairground. Now it marks nothing, but it remains watching. Let the cab pause here. Let the square unfold around us. Smithfield at night is not asleep. It simply waits. We sit now where knights once rode, where fires once burned, where crowds once gathered to cheer or to mourn. And still the city moves. The horse shifts its weight. The lamps flicker. A curtain twitches in a high window. And we carry on. The road ahead turns toward the city, toward domes and guilds and quiet, ancient streets. But for now, let this moment rest. Let the breath of the market surround us. Let the night stretch just a little longer. The cab carries us now eastward, leaving Smithfield behind. The air changes once more. Not colder, not heavier, but older somehow. We are entering the very heart of it, the city, Not the city we speak of casually, sprawling and restless, but the ancient core, the square mile, the city of London. You'll feel it first in the stones beneath us, flattened by centuries, worn into soft dips where countless wheels have passed before ours. These roads have borne the weight of kings and fishmongers, of pilgrims and bankers, of whispers and fire. As we move down Giltspur Street, the lamps seem to lean closer, throwing sharper shadows along the facades. There's less grandeur here, fewer flourishes. These buildings speak plainly. They have seen too much to bother with ornament. Ahead now, the domed roof of the Old Bailey rises into view, dark and imposing, like a question left hanging in the night. Atop it, the Statue of Justice stands in perfect stillness, her sword lifted high, her blindfold drawn. A quiet reminder that beneath all beauty, London holds its secrets to account. We don't stop. The cab turns, gently now, onto Cheapside. A road once lined with goldsmiths and drapers, now quiet save for the clip of hooves and the soft creak of the carriage frame. You'll notice the scent of damp stone here, mixed faintly with candle smoke. Somewhere nearby, a churchwarden is snuffing out the final light. To your left, just past the alley, lies the Guildhall. It doesn't boast. It doesn't shimmer. It simply stands, solid, determined. A fortress of quiet governance since the Middle Ages. Within its halls, the livery companies still meet. Worshipful company of mercers, drapers, fishmongers, masons. Names from another world, still alive beneath powdered wigs and oak-panelled walls. Look closely and you'll see the crest above the doorway. A red cross on white, the arms of the city. Different from England's. Older still. Just beyond we pass St. Lawrence Jury, its tower narrow, its stones pale. Designed by Wren, like so many of the city's phoenixes, risen from the ashes of the Great Fire. That fire reshaped everything. Even now it feels like a memory beneath the pavement, a heat long cooled but not forgotten. We roll onward. The road curves slightly, opening now to the wider breadth of King Street. You may catch a flicker of movement in a tall window. A clerk working late, candle flickering over ledgers inked with trembling hands. The business of London never truly sleeps. It only mutters in its dreams. Now the air shifts again. Do you feel it? Ahead, rising slowly through the mist, is the dome. Vast, pale, holy. St. Paul's Cathedral. Let the cab slow. Let the horse fall to a gentle step. We approach not with haste, but with reverence. The road opens wide here, Ludgate Hill stretching before us, clean and solemn. On either side, the buildings drop away slightly, as though giving space to breathe. And there it is. The dome, crowned with lantern and cross, floats against the sky like a full moon made of marble. Designed by Wren after the fire, raised stone by stone with stubborn hope. No spire, no steeple. Just that vast curve above the world, sheltering 1,000 memories beneath it. We pass the west front first, the great steps empty now, the twin towers standing silent. By day, these steps fill with voices, choirs tourists, wedding guests, children with ice creams. But at night, it returns to itself, whole, watching. The lamps along the base cast long shadows across the statues, saints in repose, apostles leaning into their robes, their stone eyes closed as if mid-prayer. We curve round the edge now, taking the road that loops gently behind the cathedral. This part is quieter still, the kind of hush that settles only in the presence of something vast. A hush that asks not for silence, but for stillness of the soul. Look up. If you tilt your head, you'll see the curve of the dome against the clouds. Sometimes, when the moon is high, it catches the leaded ribs and paints them silver. But tonight, the sky is low and kind. The dome glows gently, like something breathing. We move alongside the churchyard now. A small garden, a row of trees bare-limbed and ancient. Beneath them, stones marked with names long softened by moss. A bench sits near the edge, facing the cathedral. I once saw an old man sit there every evening for a week. Said it was where he proposed to his wife 50 years ago. She'd passed, but he still came, just to sit. The east end of the cathedral curves inward, hidden from most, but no less grand. Here lie the shadows of chapels, the outlines of crypts beneath the earth. The tombs of generals and painters and architects rest below. Nelson, Wellington, Turner. Great men, yes, but quiet now. We turn again onto Cannon Street just for a moment. Shops shuttered, doors locked. But the city does not close. It simply dims. Now we arc gently southward, past the edge of Watling Street, a road older than even the city. Roman stones lie beneath our wheels now. The original spine of Londinium. If you listen closely, you might hear the echo of sandals, the rumble of chariots. We cross Queen Victoria Street. The lamps here burn higher, more official. This is the banking quarter. The rooms above are offices by day, but now they are only shadows. Scrolls on desks, pens in inkwells, dreams of dividends fading into sleep. Ahead, just one more glimpse of the dome through the alleyway, framed now between rooftops and chimney pots, like a parting bow, and we carry on. The cathedral falls behind us. The city stretches eastward, but the spirit of it remains. It moves with us now, quiet in the corners of the cab, resting gently between the folds of your coat. Let the horse carry us forward. Let the hooves mark time like a gentle clock. Let the city breathe. This is the hour when nothing is hurried, when every stone and spire remembers, when the night turns gently over and begins again. We ride on. We leave the dome behind now, fading slowly into the night mist, and begin our quiet descent toward the east. The roads narrow again, the angles shift, and the air itself feels older. A different kind of London stirs ahead, not the regal west or the learned north, but something earthier. Grimmer in parts, yes, but no less vital. This is the East End, and we begin our passage through its shadows. The cab carries us along Ludgate Hill, hooves steady, wheels soft upon the rise and fall of the street. We pass beneath the old railway bridge, a soot-black span of iron and rivets, and suddenly the road darkens. The lamps are fewer here, or dimmer. The night seems to fold in around us like a coat drawn close against the wind. Ahead lies Fleet Street. Ah, Fleet Street. Even at this hour she holds a murmur. Not loud, not obvious, but present. The kind of murmur that never quite sleeps. The kind made of presses turning long after midnight. Ink-stained hands clutching headlines. Editors hunched over proofs beneath swinging lamps. This is the street of print. Of politics. Of scandal and scripture and everything between. We rattle gently down its length, flanked on both sides by buildings that lean just slightly forward, as if trying to read over your shoulder. The windows above are dark now mostly, but below, behind shuttered doors, the presses still breathe. We pass the old Inns of Court, tucked behind iron gates and twisting lanes. Inner Temple, Middle Temple, Gray's Inn. Their names are carved in stone and whispered through time. During the day, barristers cross these squares in gowns and white collars. At night, they vanish. Only the echo of their footsteps remains, pressed faintly into the cobbles. The street curves now, subtly eastward, and the shops change. Booksellers give way to taverns, taverns to tobacconists, tobacconists to coffee houses with crooked signs. We pass the Cheshire Cheese, an old haunt, full of sawdust floors and smoke-dark beams. It sleeps now, but its walls remember Dickens, Johnson, and the laughter of centuries past. Further along, the stone figure of a griffin marks the edge of the city. Beyond this point, the jurisdiction changes. London becomes something different, less ceremonial, more elemental. The cab turns gently, rolling toward Aldgate. The buildings here are taller in a leaner sort of way, the shop fronts less polished, more metal shutters, more faded signs, more doors with their numbers painted on in haste. And yet, still, the lamps burn. Still the city breathes. Whitechapel waits. But first we pass through a stretch of older streets, narrower, darker. To your left, a synagogue. Quiet now, but a soft glow flickers from within. Further on, a Methodist chapel, its roof black with soot, its walls sturdy with faith. Here, churches and prayer halls outnumber the public houses, though the pints flow just the same. The road dips slightly. You'll feel it in the frame of the cab, a slope, a shift. Ahead lies the edge of Whitechapel proper, where fog gathers thicker and the lamps flicker low. This part of London knows hardship. It wears it without shame. The buildings are close, tenements with cracked windows and laundry lines stretched like flags between them. Narrow alleys vanish between brick walls lit only by memory. We move slowly now. There is no need to hurry. The hooves fall softer, more deliberately. Even the horse seems to understand. This is not a place to rush, not for fear, but out of respect. To your right, a small shop glows faintly. Candles flicker behind the glass. Inside, shelves stacked with pickled vegetables, sacks of flour, a broom leaning against the door. The owner dozes behind the counter, head on hands, dreams stitched with spice and coin. Further along, the sign for a tailor swings gently in the breeze. Rusted iron, the image of a threaded needle barely visible. The workroom upstairs is still lit. A woman works alone, her silhouette bent over cloth. Perhaps it's for a wedding, or a burial, or both. We pass the corner where Dorset Street once stood, now renamed, rebuilt, forgotten by most, but not by all. In 1890, it still carries weight. This street knew darkness, the sort that leaves a mark on the city's soul. But we do not speak of that tonight. Tonight is for peace, for the hush after the storm, for the stillness that follows the tolling bell. And here, beneath that hush, the streets stretch further east, beyond the factories, beyond the breweries, into the maze of workers' cottages and narrow yards where life continues day by day without fanfare. Yet even here, even now, beauty persists. A gaslight glows softly on a stone wall painted with ivy. A cat perches on a windowsill, tail curled, watching the world like a philosopher in fur. A child's wooden toy sits forgotten on a stoop, waiting for morning. The cab turns gently northward, skirting a long commercial road. The shops here are quiet, but purposeful. Bakers, printers, drapers, cobblers. Their signs faded, their windows dressed with modest care. A clockmaker's window shows a dozen timepieces, each ticking slightly out of rhythm with the next. Together they make a kind of music. We pass a row of houses where the curtains are open to the night. Inside, you glimpse simple rooms. A family gathered at a table, a man smoking alone by the fire, a woman brushing her hair in the mirror. They do not see us, but we see them. And for a moment, we are part of something larger. A city, a home, a living thing. Now we reach the edge of Whitechapel Road. The street stretches out before us, long, straight, lined with iron railings and shuttered shops. The gas lamps here burn lower, their glass smudged with smoke, but still, they burn. To the south, the tower looms unseen in the fog. To the east, the docks sleep beneath canvas and rope. And ahead, the road curves gently back toward the river. Whitechapel is not grand, it does not shimmer, but it is real. And in its honesty there is grace. The horse shifts softly, the fog curls low along the street, and the night deepens. The cab turns now, slowly, almost reluctantly, as if aware our journey nears its end. The streets begin to widen again, the buildings lean back, and the fog lifts just enough for us to glimpse the stone silhouette rising ahead. There it is, the tower, not lit like the palaces, not adorned like the churches. It doesn't need to be. The Tower of London simply stands, cold, certain, watching. At this hour its walls are pale with mist, and the ancient moat lies quiet, hidden beneath creeping ivy and shadow, built by William the Conqueror, they say, shaped by centuries of monarchs, prisoners, ravens, silence. Kings were crowned in its shadow. Queens were buried in its wake. The very walls seem to breathe with all they've held, power and pain, fear and ceremony. A fortress, a prison, a vault for crowns. We pass the edge of the outer gate, the faint glint of metal visible on the portcullis. No guards to be seen now, though they're here, always here, somewhere behind the stone, watching from the dark. The Thames runs just beyond. We veer now toward the Embankment. The road smoothens, the air grows damp again, and the sound changes, not louder, just broader. The kind of sound made by open water, even when you cannot hear it directly. It fills the silence. To our left, the river, shrouded by fog, but present. You'll feel it if you lean into the night air, cool and quiet and endless. Barges lie at anchor beneath the black, silent bridges. Their ropes creak gently in the dark. No sails, no steam, just stillness. To our right, the Embankment Gardens, small plots of trees and flowers folded between statues and railings. You may just glimpse Cleopatra's Needle rising faintly through the mist, an ancient monument, far older than the city itself, older than England. It stands here now by grace of empire, its hieroglyphs unread by most, but watching nonetheless. We pass Somerset House, its grand facade turned now into shadow, the great courtyard hidden from view. Inside, long galleries sleep beneath vaulted ceilings. I once knew a curator there who swore the statues whispered to one another when left alone at night. I believe him. The cab wheels roll gently over Victoria Embankment, smooth and wide, the city beginning to soften again. The street lamps stretch like a string of pearls into the fog, each one burning in its own little circle of silence. Further on, we pass the foot of Waterloo Bridge, its massive shape vanishing into mist above. By day, it carries traffic and trade and men late for meetings. By night, it holds only echoes. You can't hear them, not directly, but they linger. Now we turn slightly inland, away from the river's edge, toward the Strand. The city feels closer here. The buildings press in again, theatres and inns and arcades. The signs above the doors are more familiar now, names we passed earlier in the evening. We are folding back into ourselves, back into the place we began. A playhouse stands just ahead, its posters peeling slightly in the damp, closed for the night. But if you pause a moment, you can almost hear the last note of a song echoing in the wings. The hush of an empty auditorium is unlike any other. It's not silence, it's memory. We continue westward. The cab moves now with that same soft patience we've held all evening. The horse doesn't hurry. He knows where we're going. He's taken this path many times before. We pass a bookseller's window on the corner, glass fogged, lamp flickering. Inside, a figure dozes in a high-backed chair, a novel fallen open across his chest. Time forgets to move in places like that. The streets begin to twist gently once more, the straight lines of the city giving way to older curves. And now, yes, just ahead, you'll feel it. Covent Garden. It returns like a memory, folding back into view. The market halls rest in their great iron bones. The cobbles shimmer with the sheen of recent rain, and the square opens wide like a breath. The lamps still burn here, though fainter now. The last of the stalls have gone. Only the stone remains. The rhythm of the horses' hooves returns to its beginning. The same cadence we started with, but changed somehow. As though the sound has travelled with us, gathered stories along the way, and brought them home. We pass the Royal Opera House again, its columns rising like ghosts in the fog. The windows are dark now. The music is gone. But the memory of it lingers in the very air. You might notice just at the far edge of the square, a flower cart tipped on its side, empty. The petals long since gathered, but the scent of roses still faintly there. A reminder that even in sleep, the city dreams in colour. And now the cab slows. The hooves come softer. The wheels ease, and we return to stillness. Our circuit is complete. 10 parts of London, each folded into the next, each carrying its own hush, its own light, its own breath. The city does not sleep, not truly. It waits, it watches, it remembers, and so do we. Let us sit a moment longer, here in the quiet heart. Let the night settle, let the breath slow, and let the lantern glow on. We've come full circle, and the journey, for now, is done.